Welcome to Sipping Tea with Sabrina. And in a second, we'll be sharing the tea on the relationship you have to asking. But if you've never met me before, I am Sabrina, the founder of Supporting World's Hope, a nonprofit coaching and consulting company I started after 25 years in the industry. And we have with us today Sonia JT Saleh. Did I say it right? I said Salah. No, Salah. Salah. I did it wrong. I said if I sing it, I was going to get it right. She has a very interesting story about her last name. I love learning about people, but she's with Uplifting Nonprofits. So it's Salah.
Right.
Salah.
La, la, la.
La, 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 la. So I'm excited to be having this conversation today. As a seasoned fundraiser myself, I still get nervous asking for money. So I'm very interested in hearing what Sonia has to share with us. But here's what I want to know. And I didn't ask you because I want to be as surprised as everybody else. What does the J and T stand for?
So I'm going to tell you a quick story on that. When I was a little girl, Mom would say, "So was Sonia a good girl today?" And I'd say, "Yes, Mom, Sonia was a good girl, but JT was naughty." So you see, I have split personality. So JT are my two grandmothers, Jenny and Tafida.
Oh, that is so cool. I'm glad I asked. I am very happy I asked. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience.
So I come to you from the for-profit side and switched over to the nonprofit side. I started uplifting nonprofits about 11 years ago and decided to make a change. And what I advocate now is clarity and ease in fundraising. But how did I get there is the question, right? In hospitality, I was the queen of sales and marketing. And I was asked by a nonprofit to join their board. And I thought, how exciting. So they asked me to join their board. I'm the perfect candidate. I'm in sales. I talk about money all day, every day. And I have lots of connections. Perfect candidate for a board. So I joined the board and was very successful raising money through events and, bike-a-thons, etc. So the ED said, "Oh, you're so good at this. We're going to have you go talk to people about and ask them for money." And I said, "Okay, no problem." Well, I went to do it and I actually froze. I couldn't do it. And I was so embarrassed and mortified and angry with myself. Here I am, queen of sales, right? This ego up here, and now it's totally gone, deflated. I couldn't do it. And I had to learn how to switch my thinking and adjust my mindset and work with my brain. And so that's what I did. And when I decided 10 years ago to start uplifting nonprofits, that's what I focus on, working with board members who have difficulty asking.
So that leads to my first question. So what does the relationship with asking mean?
It means many things, right? It's multifaceted. But what it really means is being comfortable with yourself, with your organization, and with who you're speaking to. That's really what it means. When you have those three down, you're okay.
Okay, so being comfortable with yourself. I guess that one's key. And that leads to a question like, well, how do you find your asking voice? How do you get comfortable with yourself?
You go look in the mirror and say, "I love you." No, but that's one technique. But seriously, getting comfortable with yourself in the asking is where the challenge is. It's really the challenge, because most of us think of asking as being vulnerable. Think of asking as charity. Think of asking as being ignorant. Think of asking as not being a strong person, right? So there's all these reasons where asking is just not comfortable. And that comes with you when you're serving and going to ask. And so that holds you back from asking, number one. And number two, if you do ask, it's not coming across, right? Because there's all this discomfort with yourself. And that's the key. It's the mindset of asking.
Okay. And so I want to go back, step back just a little, because when we talk to board members, it's that dirty F word, fundraising. Their mind immediately goes to asking. But what, in your opinion, what role does asking play in the fundraising process?
So asking, well, here's the board member. The board member comes like myself, and I think,
Mm.
oh, you want me to go ask for hundreds of thousands or thousands or $1 million. And that's, first of all, incorrect, right? We're not asking for that. I mean, we would like that, but that's not the purpose. That is not the purpose at all. So that's the first thing with the asking. The second thing is the asking role is not necessarily about, can I have money? It's more about, what's your interest? Where's your passion? Right? And so I believe that there's this misconception about fundraising, and that's why it's such a dirty word. You know, it's also a dirty word in the for-profit as well as the the nonprofit. And if you think about it, our boards are made up of people from the for-profit world, not the nonprofit world in general, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the majority are. And so their vision of what fundraising is usually off kilter, totally.
Mhm, mhm. And
Plus,
so,
go
go ahead.
ahead, ask your question.
Well, I was going to say I have this like formula that I kind of use, and I think that's where you're embracing it. I think that fundraising is more about building a relationship with the donor than the asking part. What that statement, what does it inspire for you? Is that a true statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. And to do that is a process. It's not, I walk up to you and say, Sabrina, can you give me $1,000 today? No, that's not what it is. And it is about building relationships. I mean, isn't everything about building relationships? And somehow we forget that part,
Yeah.
right? It's like dating, right? It's building that relationship.
Yeah.
So, but even in dating, you have to be comfortable to ask.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
it comes back to yourself and where are you and your mindset. Let me give you a fascinating story about a board member I met. She actually was the founder of the organization, and it's doing well, I'm happy to say.
Good.
But she wouldn't ask. She wouldn't ask. She was very uncomfortable asking. And so that carried over to her board, because she didn't ask, the board didn't ask, right? So why didn't she ask? Let me just go back to mindset and brain. She, when she was a young girl, I guess about 8 to 10, she was in the Girl Scouts.
Okay.
And in Girl Scouts, we sell the cookies. You go around, you sell the cookies. So she went and knocked on her neighbor's door and asked this neighbor to buy the cookies. And the neighbor said to her, how dare you come to me? I take care of you. I let you play with my kids. And now you're coming and asking me for money?
Oh, wow.
So, right. Now, imagine going and having her go ask for money for her organization, which she's passionate about. Obviously, she was passionate about her Girl Scout cookies, but so now she asks, thankfully. But,
Yeah.
you don't know where the mindset is until you go through it. And that is what makes the shift.
Okay. Wow. That's a harsh story. I guess if I was that CEO too, I would be like, I don't know about asking for this money thing. So I know you say mindset is the biggest obstacle you've seen in fundraising. What are some of the other obstacles that you've seen?
So for me, fundraising involves three things.
Okay.
It involves mindset, it involves knowledge, and it involves action. And when I say action, it's imperfect action. And that is the second obstacle, is the fear of doing it wrong. Am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to lose a relationship? Am I going to ask for too little? Am I going to ask for too much? Am I asking for the right thing? What am I supposed to say? I don't know what to say. So all that comes up in addition. That's the second obstacle. And that's why I implore that you take imperfect action, not perfect action. Just, and maybe it's just picking up a phone and saying, "Hi, how are you, Sabrina? I just wanted to check in," and hanging up, right?
Right.
But you took an action, right? So
Just do it. Just do it. Is
well,
what you're saying.
well, that only works to a point, because here's what happened is, if in our brain, if we are pushing into doing something new and we're forcing ourselves, our brain is forcing just as much back. So you're stuck here. So just take action has to, though, be adjusted with what's the action you're taking. Can your brain handle that action? Because if your brain's fighting it, like that woman I was talking about, if I told her just call, she would have been like, she was frazzled. She couldn't just call, right? So it was, what could her brain adjust to? And then we move her forward, right?
That makes sense. That it does make sense. It really does make sense. It's the whole science behind this that I guess, just like you said, that relationship with asking makes a huge difference, and your childhood experience. I can't imagine being traumatized like that. So you have to take into account everybody's background, correct?
Exactly. And it's not only the relationship to asking is also the relationship to money, because you're asking for money. So what is that person's relationship to money? And, when we grow up, at least the majority of people I speak to, you don't talk about money at home unless it's, I got to pay the bills, right? That's when you talk about money. I got to pay the bills. I got to do this, or I've got to save for our whatever.
Right.
So money isn't talked about. It's not a discussion. Neither is asking. When you grow up, it's like, don't ask people for help. I know I was raised with that, like peers, right? You don't want the neighbors to think you're whatever. So
what happens in this house, what happens in this house stays in this house. All those little rules that we had. Yeah.
So right there, the two reasons why asking is uncomfortable. We don't even talk about money at work. Yeah, we talk about the millions that come or go, or, but we're not really discussing money and how it relates to us, or that we're asking for help at work. I mean, it's because we've got to be strong and independent and know everything and be smart. And when we come to fundraising, that's the whole opposite.
Right.
And the biggest thing is to make clear, and especially for the audience right now, is to make clear that you're not asking for charity. You're not asking for charity. You're not saying, please help us. We need to feed 20 kids, because if we don't have this money, we're going to close and those kids are going to starve.
Thank you for saying that.
What we want to say and is partner with us, support us, look at what we are doing and can do, how we can make this world better. We are offering you an opportunity to invest in us and in yourself, right?
Right.
So once you can get at least that perspective, it helps move you along the path. Because I think the majority of us are like, oh, I'm going to ask for charity.
Yeah, I'm going to go beg now. Oh, I would hate when my board member said that. Oh, I'm going to go beg now. And I would say, you're not begging. You are giving people an opportunity to give where their values align. But that's the mentality that often comes up. So, hey, if you're just joining us, welcome to our broadcast. We're currently talking about the relationship you have to asking, and we've just covered mindset. We've covered knowledge. We've covered, investment. So you got to go back and you got to listen to the first half of this segment. But again, let us know where you're watching from, and click the heart or the like button if you can hear me loud and clear. And this is going to help with our Facebook algorithms. And Sonia, I'm going to tell you, Asia is just saying she loves this. Alana is saying yes. You got hearts going on in the
Oh,
comments. So it's Yvette is like hearting it up. So you're getting a lot of great feedback here. So how can you increase your asking confidence?
well, so here's some of the things you want to do.
Mhm.
You want to be able to tell the story to yourself and actually to your other board members. This is really a good project to do two things
Mhm.
without going through the mindset. I'm stepping back from that because,
That's
but
deep.
you want, it is deep, is that you want to be able for them to tell their story, why they joined this organization. Oh, because I want to help children. No, 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 no. It's deeper than that. Why this organization? Was it that it was something that happened to you, to a friend? You read something. Where is this deep connection for you with this particular organization? So when they hear each other's stories, they begin to realize that this is an organization that has impact. Okay, so that's one thing. And then they share the stories. The other thing is, so ask your board members to write down 5 to 10 people that they would like to ask. Just the names. You don't need to see them. You don't need to know them. The names. Then, why have they not asked them? And if they were to ask, what would that person say as a yay? And what would that person say as a nay?
That's a good exercise. And now, is it just an exercise? Because you said you don't need to know the names, right? The CEO doesn't need to know the names. Is it just an exercise to get them to get over that fear, or what would that exercise
Well, so
produce?
the exercise is bringing them their awareness.
Okay.
Their awareness of their seeing a pattern. They'll see a pattern, right?
Okay.
They start to see a pattern. So you're on my list, but I haven't asked you, well, you're in another state. You don't know anything about, the organization. You and I haven't spoken in 7 years, or, we haven't spoken in 7 years. This is a great way for us to reconnect, to find out what you're doing, what I'm doing. So these stories start coming up for themselves.
Okay.
This is about helping them, right?
Okay.
To understand their relationship to asking and who to ask. So for many, we think board members know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't. They don't. And on another story along these lines, I'm sorry, I'm talking forever. I could talk about
No,
this
no,
for
you're
days.
good. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So when one of the clients I had, they would do board orientation, which was lovely. They'd bring in the new board member, some of the board would sit around, da 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 da. So I said, well, do you want me to come in and talk about fundraising? Oh, no, no, no.
No. We're gonna scare them, right?
Exactly. We're going to scare them and we're going to lose them. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, but they need to know something about fundraising. They need a little idea here. Thankfully now they're doing it, and as the board members come in, they have an understanding of fundraising. And so going back to what I'm saying, that board members don't know, where money comes from. They don't understand our famous pie, where how much comes from individuals and how much comes from foundations and how much comes from corporations. They think it's all foundations and corporations, and we've got to go after Coca-Cola to get our money, or Amazon, or whoever it is today, right? So it's like, no, right? So
Okay.
they need an education on understanding fundraising, just the simple parts of fundraising. And we need to understand where their comfort level is in asking. So sometimes it's just that they need to ask for $100. Have they ever asked for $100?
I just had an aha moment. I want to share it with you.
Go.
Because a lot of the nonprofit professionals that's in this group are startup, and they're in shock that they're not getting grants. And so I just had an aha moment. So if they don't know, they think it's all grants, and board members thinks it's corporation, they're missing that huge piece that is individuals and asking. And I don't know why I had an aha moment at that point, but you're right. They're talking two different languages and no one's talking the right language. Does that
Well,
make sense?
absolutely, absolutely. And so here's the thing, even if you're going after foundations and grants, which most startups really have a difficult time, they need to be in existence for at least 3 years.
3 years.
Right.
Thank you.
So before that, and others are thinking corporations, oh, I'm going to get Coca-Cola on board, right?
Hmm.
What they forget is it's still people. You got to
Yeah.
talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
got to talk to somebody. I mean, yes, grants are online on certain things, but still, in the end, it's about connections. It's about people. It's about relationships.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, it's mind blowing sometimes
It,
when
it,
you.
it is mind blowing. And I'm wondering, this is I'm wondering also with because my one of my questions is how can CEOs of organizations help their board members understand fundraising? But just in having this conversation, it's not just the board members who need to understand fundraising and their relationship to the ask, it's the CEOs and the EDs as well. Because now I'm
Absolutely.
sitting here thinking, um, why do they think they're going to get grants right away because they're a nonprofit? And it just clicked to me, grants are advertising that they're giving money,
Mm-hmm.
whereas individuals are not. So that you do have to build up some confidence to ask individuals, whereas grants, they're saying we'll give you money.
Right. Right. But it doesn't
Wow.
mean they'll give it to you, though, right?
Exactly. It doesn't mean that they'll give it to you, but there's a less fear there because you
Right.
know their role is to give money.
Well, because you don't have to ask.
Right.
You just
They're
fill out a form and go,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's again about so here fascinating is that when people work with me, it affects
Mhm.
their personal because now they know to ask for what they want, ask for what they desire. You think we all do that? We don't. We're not raised to do that, right?
Right.
So, but yes, it's that the as I said with the woman who was the founder of her organization, she didn't know the basics of fundraising. She didn't know the process of asking. There is a process. There
Yes.
is a system. There is so much than just Sabrina, give me $1,000.
Right.
There is so much more than that.
Hmm.
And and that's the beauty of the whole thing to me. The ask itself is not the beauty. The
Right.
ask is the outcome. And the
Right.
outcome can be yes or no. And
It,
even if it's no, it's good because you know where you stand. It's just and you
yeah, you
try.
do. You know where you stand, and the no could mean no, not right now. No, not this program. No, not yet. No, not until I talk to my spouse. It could mean all of those things. It's not a personal rejection of you. So this has been
But
very
but wait, let
enlightening.
me just say one more thing about the no.
Hmm.
If you don't ask, you're already at no.
That is true. You told yourself no before you even asked, right?
That is
That is so
correct.
that is so true. Um, okay, so I'm gonna step back because I think
Okay.
with the EDs and the CEOs of the organizations, how do they help their board understand fundraising? That's part A of the question because we really want to talk about boards, but I think just in listening to you and delving into this, how do they help themselves understand fundraising?
Right. So, so I'm actually going back to the beginning, which is mindset, knowledge, and action. Right. Going back to that. The one of the things though is understanding the fundraising process
Hmm.
because mindset takes time. It does,
Hmm.
and an expectation. Right. What is our expectation of ourselves and the board member? We need to clarify what that expectation is. And we need to clarify it and have that conversation with ourselves and what each other. If I'm the founder and I think, oh, I'm going to raise 100,000 and I can't ask for $100,
Hmm.
where is that coming from? And if I'm asking a board member to do it because I can't, which is a lot of it sometimes,
Hmm.
right? It's not a fair expectation. There needs to be conversation. I personally think one of the things to do, and I know many people laugh when I say this, but find out, can your board member ask for $100? If they can do 100, can they do 500? If they can do 500, can they do 1,000?
I have a comment to make.
Go
Now,
for it.
is that $100? Is that just not selling a raffle ticket, not selling a
Correct.
ticket to an event? It is $100 investment in the mission. That's what you're talking about, correct?
So, right, exactly. Because once it's attached to an event, so here's the other issue, right? If you're coming from the for profit, which most our board members are, we consider giving a service or a product for money. It's a tangible exchange. When we come to the nonprofit, we're giving you, let's feel good about it. It doesn't seem like a fair exchange. It's not what we're used to. So when we are asking for money related to an event, a telethon, a raffle, or whatever, that's a fair exchange in a board member's mind. It's a fair exchange because you're getting a product, or you're getting sponsorship, you're getting something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, the $100 I'm talking about is, I go, Sabrina, this organization I'm really impassioned about, and I think you align with it. What's your thought, etc.?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to donate $100? Pure and simple.
Got it. That's a different conversation. That is a different conversation. So what are some of the tips and tricks you have for board and staff that are struggling with finding their asking voice?
Call me. No, on a serious note, some of it is exactly what I've mentioned. Is you need to show the fundraising. What is fundraising? That's one thing. Another thing is that you want to have board members tell their story about why they've joined this organization, and a story about the organization that moves them. So I might say, I joined this organization to feed the children because I grew up, in a neighborhood where I was fine, but my neighbors didn't have enough food. And so we were always giving them food. I could have that. And so this is what, but I noted, but here in this organization, I saw that we gave Kayla this whole package, and she went home, and her mother was so excited that, she had the ingredients. She didn't have to do the shop. So where is the story for myself, and where is the story with the organization? And when you go around a room and you actually, what you could do is do 2 board members at a meeting telling the story, or 3, however, whatever your time is in a board meeting, and let them share, because other board members are listening. Right. And so when they're listening, they learn they're not alone, and they also learn some of the things that they have not been aware of.
Right. That makes sense. So thank you for sharing this information. I want to leave some time here for some Q&A to see if anybody has any questions. And if you do have any questions, put them in the comments. But while you gather your thoughts, I just want you to know that if you need any help around fundraising for your nonprofit, because everybody does, you can visit my website at www.supportingworldhope.com. And also, you can check out my services as well as Sonia's services. And if you're watching in a rebroadcast, you can post your questions in a comment, and I'm sure Sonia will get back with you, or I will get back with you. So if you have any questions, girl, you're blowing up in the comments. So Elena is saying, I love this. Some of us want to donate for the cause itself, and many times just for the cause, no sponsorship, just love. So there are donors out there that do want to do that, but we have to build up the nerve. Is that the proper
nerve
word?
That
to
is
ask.
Actually, it's not the nerve. You have to find the courage and the ease. So the fear doesn't necessarily go away, but it's working through your fear and recognizing, okay, What do I need to do now? What do I need to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the brain science, you learn how to move that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you said, like after 25 years, I still get nervous.
Sure.
And I'm glad you
Sure.
acknowledged that. But one of the little tricks that I tell myself is I'm not asking for me. I'm asking on behalf of that child or behalf of that person that's hungry or behalf, these are the little mantras I tell myself before I make the ask. Is there any little, are there any
So,
little
so,
tricks you do?
so I have a lot of little tricks, but one of the ones that's easy and giving credit to Mel Robbins, and I find it works a lot. You put your hand on your heart, say, I'm okay,
I'm okay.
I am safe,
I am safe.
I am loved.
I am loved. Woo, that's just a good way to start your morning.
Well, it also lets you know that no matter what happens, you're still safe, you're okay, and you're loved.
That's awesome. And go in there and just not just do it. I get it. I'm a just do it, girl, but do what is comfortable, little increments. I hear what you're saying. Sometimes you have to ease people into that process of
Right,
fundraising.
right,
Got it. Got it.
exactly,
I'm
exactly.
gonna check and see if there's any questions here. And I don't see any questions at this time, but I see a lot of love. I think that this is a topic that people really struggle with. And so with that struggle, um, I think what you do in getting people comfortable with that relationship, with asking, is so important. So how can people contact you?
Well, funny you should ask. So my website is
Hmm.
upliftingnonprofits.com. Very simple.
Hmm.
I'm actually offering a class on
Yes.
October 10th on
Yes.
money and the money mindset. It's an intro and it helps a lot. And I find that when EDs get in on it and CEOs and board members, they begin to understand that it's not their fault
Hmm.
that they're not asking.
Hmm. Okay.
That they can take the action, the imperfect action, to shift it. So I'm offering that on October 10th. It's $69, but for your listeners, it will be complimentary as long as they enter the code SIP T.
Tip T. And guys, I'll be putting the link for you to register for that class in the comments below this video. So SIP T is the code word. I thank you for that. I'm gonna have to sign up for that myself. Come in and crash your party because
You're
it's
most welcome.
always a learning process, and that's
Absolutely.
another thing that people should know. Even though you've been doing this for a long time, I've been doing this for a long time, there's always many ways, and you always continually have to invest in yourself, whether that's investment of time, whether that's investment of finances. You always have to keep going because there's experts out there like yourself, Sonia, that really help people along this way. So I'm going to say, do you have any final words for us?
Believe that you can. Believe that it's not your fault. Believe that you just want to learn. And exactly what you're saying about that, right?
Mhm.
And there are so many wonderful people out there who all they want to do is contribute to society, have an effect on change. So for me, here's what I'm going to leave you with. Fundraising is the combination of people and resources to affect change.
Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, again, to register for Sonia's class, the link will be in the comments after this live. So, I also want to share with you, this is the last sipping tea for 2022. Yes, but I've already started planning 2023, and I have secured interviews around cybersecurity, corporate sponsorships, and branding for nonprofits. And if there's a topic you want to hear about, hit me up on Facebook at Supporting World Hope or in this group to let me know. And remember to tap the live button so you know the next time I go live. And you can also see other live videos that I've done by visiting my website again at www.supportingworldhope.com. And so I leave you with this: your mission matters and deserves to be highlighted in the community. Your mission matters and can be an inspiration to those who need it the most. Your mission matters and deserves to be funded to its fullest capacity. Your mission matters. Let's wave them out, Sonia. Thank you so very much. Bye, guys.